an NFL team's future is very hard to predict. In the NFL, things happen. Things that you don't expect happen. Geno Smith coming out of nowhere and looking like a great quarterback this year. I don't think many people expected that. The NFL is a very unpredictable league, especially when it comes to futures. But I saw MMG do a video where he ranked the team's futures through a tier list, and I'm going to do the same today and try to make it not the worst thing ever. All right, here we are at the tier list. We got elite, good, mid, bad, awful. Starting off with my Cincinnati Bengals. Might be biased coming from a Bengals fan, but I think they have one of the brighter futures in the whole league. Joe Burrow, I think he's really good. Him and Zach Taylor, Jamar Chase, it's a really talented team, so might be biased, but I think they're going to be in contention, like maybe a couple Super Bowls, I don't know, for the next 5 to 10 years. Might be biased though, but Bengals, one of the brighter futures in the league. The Patriots' future kind of stems down to Mac Jones, which I'm going to throw in mid. Like, I haven't really seen anything too special from Mac Jones. Nothing great, nothing terrible. I mean, his Pro Bowl gritty was iconic, and he had a decent rookie season. His second year was kind of iffy, and as a whole, he really hasn't been the greatest, hasn't been the worst. But, I think he has a chance at maybe having like a couple good years or something. But, yeah, the Patriots' future kind of just stems down to Mac Jones. New Orleans Saints long-term is kind of questionable, so I'm going to throw them in bad. QB-wise, I mean, they rolled out Andy Dalton in 2022, which I'm a big Andy Dalton guy as a Bengals fan. I'm a big Red Rifle guy, and he's like very underrated in my opinion, but long-term, no. Jameis Winston struggles with injuries and isn't the long-term answer, so unless they address the QB position, I don't think the Saints are really going anywhere. Not a bad team overall, though. The Pittsburgh Steelers' future, they got a lot of good pieces, but it all kind of stems down to Kenny Pickett, and I really don't know what to think about Kenny Pickett. I mean, he was pretty bad in his first few games, but started to string together something at the end of the year, but yeah, I need to see a little more from Kenny Pickett to really decide if he's, like, all too good, but I like some of the pieces they have. I like the direction they're going in, and I'm going to put them in mid, but that's not, like, I'm not saying the Steelers have a bad future or anything, but yeah, it kind of just all stems down to Kenny Pickett, and I don't know if I've seen enough from him because, year 2 is going to be very important for Kenny Pickett. The 49ers are loaded with talent all across the board, and I think if Brock Purdy can, continue just stringing together wins like he has been. I know that NFC Championship game was a bit painful for the 49ers, but this organization has just been plagued so much with injury. I mean, it's just insane. I feel like a fully healthy Niners team is scary. But yeah, I'm going to put them in good. They have a good future. Next up, we got the Cardinals. They have one of the worst in the league, I'd say. They just fired Cliff Kingsbury, and they're looking for a new coach, to gel with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has shown some flashes of being a good QB. He had that great start in 2021, but, he just really hasn't gotten it done in the playoffs. But, yeah, I'm going to put the Cardinals in. They have a pretty bad future. I actually do like a lot of the pieces the Falcons have. Quarterback-wise, I think Desmond Ridder is decent, but I don't know. They might join in on the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, maybe. But for right now, I'm going to put them in mid, even though they have, I like some of the pieces they have. I really just don't think they're bound to, be one of the top tier teams for the next 5 to 10 years. Baltimore Ravens. Now, I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be a Raven next year, so I'm going to put him in bad, but, yeah, obviously Lamar's not the whole team, but the whole team was kind of built around Lamar and his style of play. And I do like Tyler Huntley, but I don't know if that's really the option, and this team's just kind of lost if Lamar signs with a different team. But yeah, I'm putting the Ravens in bad. Buffalo Bills, I'm putting them in Do I put them in good or elite? I'm gonna put them in elite. I think they're in that Bengals category. They have an elite QB, but I'm gonna have to see a little bit more from Josh Allen in the playoffs to really, decide if they're like really, really good. But they'll definitely be in contention for the next 5 to 10 years. There's no way they just like massively fall off. Carolina Panthers. I'm going to put them, I don't know. It depends on if they draft a quarterback this year in the next coming years, but I'm just going to put them in mid for now. I mean, they have some good pieces, but like they kind of have a questionable future ahead. Chicago Bears. I really like Justin Fields, but at some point they gotta start building around him, getting like an offensive line, a decent defense. I mean, they're probably gonna draft like Jalen Carter this year, and he's gonna be pretty good for them. But they need to build something around Justin Fields. If they do, they're hanging around good. But if they continue their ways and just like let Justin Fields die out there, they're going bad. But they have Justin Fields, so I'm going to put him in good. I really do like Justin Fields. I think he's good. Cleveland Browns. Now, they went out. They got Deshaun Watson, which not everyone agreed with, really. But, he's a good quarterback. They have some good pieces, but I don't really think they're in that, like, they're not really going to be contending for it as much as, like, these teams. Dallas Cowboys, great stacked defense, in my opinion. I mean, Micah Parsons is just insane. But as far as Dak Prescott, his future's kind of questionable. I mean, the Cowboys will be decent, but like if they keep having playoff blunders, I really don't think they'll ever really be on this tier competing for it all. But they have a good future ahead. Broncos just went out and got Sean Payton, which I think is a good move. 2022 was a bit of a disaster in Denver, but I think next 1 to 2 years, they'll be into the thick of it. They won't really be like the best team, but they'll be a pretty decent team. Broncos country will ride for the next 1 to 2, maybe 3, 4 years, but I really don't think they have like a great long-term future ahead of them. I really like the direction the Lions are heading towards. I'm going to put them in good. I like Dan Campbell. I like a lot of the pieces they have. I think Jared Goff is pretty good. I like a lot of their defensive players. So I'm going to put them in good. I think all around they're a good team. Nothing too special, nothing elite, but I'm going to put them in good. Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill probably only has like a couple more years down there, and he really isn't a great quarterback for him. Really, their only source of offense is Derrick Henry, just running the ball with Henry. I like Mike Vrabel, but pretty questionable future. I'm going to put him in bad. Green Bay Packers. Every offseason, Aaron Rodgers, there's a lot of questions surrounding him, and Jordan Love is probably the guy next year, and I don't know. I'm going to put him in mid. I like some of the pieces they have. I like Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and like Matt LaFleur and stuff. But I really don't think, like they have a pretty questionable future ahead of them. Houston Texans, I think they get Bryce Young, and I think he's pretty good for him, but doesn't really have that like huge franchise changing ability. I mean, I haven't really looked too much into Bryce Young. I think he's pretty talented from what I've seen, but I really don't think he's going to like majorly change this franchise. Not a bad future, but just pretty mid. But yeah, not a bad future. They might make a couple playoff appearances, stuff like that. And I'll just kind of have to see how Bryce Young is in the NFL, or CJ Stroud or Will Levis or whoever they get. Indianapolis Colts, short-term awful, but if they pick up like an early pick, build that team, get a quarterback, long-term maybe pretty good, but as of right now, awful. Sorry, Colts fans, but Jacksonville Jaguars. I like Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence and how they work with each other. A lot of good pieces. I'm actually going to throw them in elite. I was kind of going between good and elite, but yeah, I think this whole list just kind of comes down to the quarterbacks, and I think Trevor Lawrence is good. Speaking of great futures and great quarterbacks and coaches, Kansas City Chiefs. I think they have the best future in the NFL. I mean, it's either, all these four teams I think have really good futures, but I think the Chiefs are kind of the outlier, the team that has the best future ahead of them. Los Angeles Rams, they've kind of put themselves in a bad situation. Don't have many draft picks. Sean McVay, I don't know how much longer he's going to be there. So I'm going to put him in awful, but, I don't, maybe long term they might be decent, but I don't know. They're kind of in a bad situation right now. Los Angeles Chargers, I like Justin Herbert, but they just seem to make mistakes and stuff and never really put together a full, really good season. That's kind of their franchise history. That's kind of what they've been doing. But you can change that. I mean, look at the Bengals. So I'm not going to put him in I'm just going to put him in good. I like Justin Herbert, so I'm going to put him in good. Miami Dolphins, they've kind of put themselves in a bad situation with Tua, but I like a lot of the weapons they have, Tyreek and stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to put him in mid. I like Mike McDaniel too. There's a lot of things to be excited about with the Dolphins, but Tua and his injuries, we're going to have to see how that goes into his career. If that keeps being a consistent thing, I don't know. They might have a bad future, but I still like a lot of the pieces they have as a team. I feel like this was the Vikings' year. They had it aligned for them. Their division was just kind of weak this year. The NFC was kind of wide open for them besides for the 49ers and Eagles. Kirk Cousins had the chains on. He was playing great throughout the regular season. They had Justin Jefferson, who is an absolute beast, playing off his mind. But they just folded in the playoffs against the Giants. So I'm going to put them in good tier. Next up, we got the Giants. And as long as they have Brian Daboll as their head coach, I think this team has a good future. They have, a good defense, good team, supporting cast around Daniel Jones. Could get him a couple receivers. Definitely could, help him out. But, yeah, the Giants have a good future, I'd say. The Jets, they have a stacked defense. They just have one hole, and that is quarterback. They need to address this. Maybe get Aaron Rodgers or, Lamar Jackson, one of those. Derek Carr maybe. But, yeah, I think they have a good future. They just need to get a passable quarterback. That isn't Zach Wilson. Next up, we got the Raiders. Yikes, the Raiders, you really thought this was going to be their year. Devontae Adams, they went out and got Devontae Adams. Derek Carr had a good year in 2021. You really thought this was their year, and it didn't happen. They just had a down year, and now Derek Carr's on his way out. I think they have a pretty bad future. I'll put them in awful. I mean, yeah, I don't think their futures are looking the best. I was really high on them after the 2021 season, but yeah. Next up, we got the Seahawks. Geno Smith playing like a Pro Bowler this year. Geno Smith and the Seahawks really exceeded expectations. Really liked to see it, but I don't think their future, long-term future, is really that good. I'll put them in mid-tier. Buccaneers, yikes. Literally yesterday, Tom Brady retired, and I don't even know who their quarterback is going to be. They might address it in free agency, maybe Kyle Trask. I don't know. Jimmy G. Maybe they might go out and get Jimmy G. But yeah, this not the best future as of now. Eagles, I think they have. I'm struggling between good and elite. I'll put them in elite. I like their coaching. I think Jalen Hurts, they're in the Super Bowl right now. They had a great season this year. Yeah, the Eagles have an elite future. They just have a complete team around them. Next up, you got the Commanders. A little bit hard to tell. I do like Sam Howell. The Carson Wentz experiment, although I do like Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz experiment did not go too well. I really don't know why they didn't start Taylor Heinicke for the last two games of the season. Heinicke was looking pretty good towards, mid-season range. I think they have a pretty mid future. And that is every NFL team's future. Tell me how much I got wrong in the comments below.